Issei was Jason Momoa's Aquaman. I will just put Aquaman, but specifically to Jason Momoa's because, honestly, my favorite Aquaman. Now, in this version, there's going to be a slight difference. What happened was, he was going to be called Arthur. But then, an unexpected event would be him not landing in the same area. Instead of going with the name Arthur, his father went with the name Issei, and said, which actually he was a lighthouse keeper, but until he had to get out of that thing. Well, his mother and him actually, for the safety of the child, chose to try raising him in the city of Kuo. They figured it'd be safe enough. They were wrong. The Atlanteans tried to attack and actually went in Kuo and very badly injured Issei's father. He survived with a large gash on his chest, though. And Kuo being less of a injured, not being great for him, he stopped working on the lighthouse around Kuo, which allowed Issei to effectively would have taken over, but his father couldn't let him do that. He was still just a little kid. So they stayed in their little house, and he got a different job at desk work. And he always told his son, be as strong and powerful as possible. And Issei, one day when he's, I'm going to say it was a few days before he even was, it was the weekend before he was going to meet Rainier, and said weekend, surprisingly enough to everyone, Issei, covered in these tattoos from head to toe, always wearing long sleeves. No one's ever seen him shirtless, so they don't ever really expect it. Hold on a second, guys. Just like I was saying, guys, Jason Momoa's Aquaman is who he is, so yeah. His hair is actually more long. Just basically imagine Jason Momoa's hair from Aquaman, basically. He already has the build of as if he was full grown, but he notes he's a little bit different. He still has the boosted gear. Now, in this would be a completely different series. While he is kind of more like Jason Momoa's Aquaman, there was a sad event that would happen with the Atlanteans. All of the water attack, they would actually try to attack Kuo one day. Unluckily for them, there was one that had some ties to the demon faction, and knowing that they were going to attack Kuo, Cersei was pissed, because they thought they might attack Rias. And if that happened, and she got hurt, he would rip them all to shreds. He wouldn't let it happen, saying he wouldn't let them do that, and they ask who the hell he thinks he is in their waters. This is when Cersei would say, I am Cersei Lucifer. I am the literal devil, and if you attack me, you will all die. Hearing this, they actually go to attack anyway, turning every single Kryptonian into nothing but ashes. Not Kryptonian, I mean Atlantean. As nothing was left. Now, in this version, that magical, the legendary one, isn't, as Cersei said, Kraken. Kraken turning his head, saying, who do you think you, just getting grabbed by the throat, saying, Cersei, eliminating the Kraken from all existence. Taking this thing, saying, as he barely could even pull it, as he did everything in his power, he couldn't really properly wield it. As he did something unexpected, he still grabbed it, and obliterated the arm that was holding it. Taking this trident, and actually going at full speed, right over to the nearest thing he felt should happen, and on the ocean, and at the ocean, one rised up, as he kind of just let it go up there with the waves. Thinking, it's right, wielder should wield it anyway. And by chance, Issei was wielding it, and was wielding his own trident, his mother's, training and fighting, going at a dead stalemate with just about anyone. As he set it in the ground, seeing this other one, he grabbed it and said, "Wow!" as it awakened all his powers. All the sea creatures started to rise up to the ocean, commanding, doing whatever he said. He said, so this, I guess it's back. As he learned how to wield two different weapons. He can now wield both of them as if they were his regular thing. Over the years, he's trained enough where he can do it. His father even teaching him how to use weapons, and mainly a trident. Though wielding two tridents is difficult on Issei, he does know how to do it. Even learning a little bit on how to manipulate some water with movement, though he does struggle just a little bit to do it. This is when Issei would do something unexpected. He would actually unlock his boosted gear. Surprised by this, everyone he turned his head, saying, "What is this?" "Listen, boy, I am Drake. You are the last Atlantean, and the true king of Atlantis. Where's all the others? They were murdered for threatening to attack this area." "Really? What about my mother? She's sadly been dead for a long time. Unlike in the actual Aquaman movie, the trench doesn't exist. It was the center of the town. No one can wield the thing, and the Kraken would guard it, which was just there. No one would mess with it. Now, in this version, she was murdered by the Deep, which Surzek's actually having killed all of them, like every single different one of them. At this point, Issei saying, "Really? Wow. Whatever. So what do you do? How are you making me stronger or what?" This is when he said, "Alright, I will let you store both of those tridents inside my arm, inside this gauntlet." Alright, as he started learning how to do that, and he actually said, "So how do I just summon them out?" "You can just think about which one you want." As he instantly summoned his mother's and started training with that one again, when he was done, he put them both up. Though he would have to mark that he would have to bring his mother's in the same way he usually did. As he brought it in, and put it away the way his father told him to, which really was just putting it where he needed it, wherever he wanted to, which was just making sure it wouldn't be in the way. As Issei actually put it on into his gauntlet. Now, this is when he would still meet Yuma, and that would go as canon. But then, he actually bought her that same bracelet, as well as a necklace with a little dolphin on it. Her saying, "Do you like ocean animals?" "Yes, I do." This is when Issei would actually somewhat... And by the way, he got the critical over here, but I'm going to say he kind of just held it, didn't know how to turn it off, so it was just out for a long enough time to turn into the boosted gear for Drake to speak to him. Now that he could turn it off, he basically stored both of the tridents there, and this is when he said something unexpected. Whenever he was talking to Yuma, she was really surprised, saying, "Got a question. Do you believe that Atlantis is a real place?" And she actually knows what Atlantis was. It was one of the only wielding of the two most holy weapons ever. Now, any holy weapon can get their presence exactly removed, even from simply existing, if they're in like another inside of a gear. So yeah, she couldn't tell that one of the two most powerful weapons ever is in the gear. And by the way, in this version, there's Excalibur and this weapon. These are the only two that have ever been conceded as completely, you need to be worthy to wield them, even more than Mjolnir kind of a thing. Now, back to What If. As Issei does something unexpected, he would say, "Well, I kind of hope it does exist." Her saying, "I hope so." Though she did kind of note that there was some rumors about Sir Zex going there and ripping every single Atlantean apart. But I'm not telling Issei that, so yeah. This is when she would actually say, "You want to have that date?" on Sunday, him saying, sure. This is when he goes over, he actually took her on the same walk to the park, and he did something unexpected. He basically said, what the as he said, no, as he put his trident out, which actually, using the water in the kind of like, in the fountain, he used that to block the attack and send it flying. As he said, wouldn't expect that. As he threw his mother's trident into the air for a second, throwing the golden one into his right hand and his mother's one into his left, saying, "Tell me, who are you?" Putting away his mother's, as she felt the holy aura off of this thing, saying, that trident, it couldn't be. Him saying, "Only the worthy shall ever wield the true king's trident." As he did one good swing, which almost took her wing off, she was barely able to move, and actually cut Issei's side just a little bit. Him saying that'd be nowhere near enough. By the way, the reason I chose Jason Momoa's is because it's just the best in my opinion, so yeah. As he gave it that same hit in the chest, which I don't think it's any stronger than a grenade launcher the way that it had happened to Jason. I mean, yeah. So he tanks that and saying, not enough, as she actually burned away his shirt, revealing all the tattoos, saying, You're an Atlantean. What are you doing here? As he said, I'm the rightful king of Atlantis. I just can't find it. No matter, as she basically just started rapidly throwing light spears at him, and even if he couldn't block one, he somewhat wouldn't be able to move out the way, just for Donaseek and the others to pull up, and even Free to start shooting at him. The first thing that happened was Free just got slapped in the mouth and sent flying, and Donaseek and all of them were actually doing pretty well. Every time they would throw a light spear, he would try to deflect and dodge, or just something, as best as he could. But then, they all put their energy together to make one light spear, which he didn't see coming since they were all throwing with their other hands little light spears at him. As this one big one stabbed him in the chest, it actually pierced his body. As he fell to the ground, right when he got one good stab into Raynair's chest. And as he pulled out the trident, he put it back in Drake, saying, "Goodbye, Drake," as he passed out. Noting that if he had actually been able to boost any more times, they probably would have died. He'd only been able to get one boost out. That's how fast the fight was. Now, this made it where he was actually struggling a good. This made it where when Rias got there, she actually still revived him into 8 pawn pieces, and this is when Issei would say something unexpected to her. As she got him home, he said something in his dream. I am Issei Hayoto. I am the king of Atlantis. And the Red Dragon Emperor. Saying this in his dream kind of surprises her, saying, what the fuck, as Drake pops out of his arm, saying, listen here, Grimmery. This is Issei Hayoto. He is the king. He's the rightful king of Atlantis. But all of his subjects were recently slain by a demon. Can't blame him. What do you mean? All of the subjects? But aren't they strong enough to handle fights with at least a mid-class devil? Most of them, yes. Other than children, so yes. And I thought the king was alone on level of a high class, wasn't he? He was. But even high class level would still fall to a Satan class devil. What? It was your brother. Found out that they were going to attack Kuo. Why would they attack Kuo? Like I said, the rightful king of Atlantis is right here. He's a half-breed though, so yeah. Kind of surprising everyone, then saying, fine. So does that mean my pawn is the king of Atlantis? Kind of. He has to find it first. He already has the trident of the king, the lost trident of the king, and his mother's trident, which is, to be fair, the second best trident ever made. Which, honestly, when I say second best, it's going to be, like, barely second best, because that other one was just wielded by someone who knew how to fight better. Though it has great design, he probably won't use it that often, and he actually would probably give this more to the woman he marries than keep it as his own. As in this version, Issei just starts as he kind of just got up to, get back up, as he would start to, talk to his father saying, "You're home. Good job, son." Well, at least saying that everything's okay the next morning, having to go eat, and then next morning, Issei's father knocks on the door saying, "Issei, what the?" As he could just close the door saying, "Alright, breakfast is ready. I'm going to work. Bye." As his father just took out at the door. Well, Issei then said, "Alright, come on, let's go down." Rias gets dressed, and they go walk all the way there. They walk downstairs and grab their food. It was eggs, brisket, and eggs. It was basically eggs, gravy, with meat chunks, and a little bit of biscuits. Now, if y'all think that's a bad breakfast, you're stupid. So, yeah. Back to the riff. As this is when Issei does something unexpected, he goes in the fridge and grabs, like, a giant beer. And they said, "Are you sure about that? Wouldn't your dad get mad if you started drinking his beer?" This is when Issei said, "It's mine." As he downs it all in about 10 seconds, slamming it down, saying, "Alright, let's go to school." Crushing it, and then drinking his average, everyday drink. A Gatorade, or whatever, I really don't care. Powerade, Gatorade, whatever you want to call it, just something that's, like, really strong smelling to cover the alcohol in his breath, saying, "Helps me get through the day, so let's go." As this is when Rias would actually comment, "Your physique is amazing. Why do you always hide it with such baggy clothes?" "Because I don't need it to be shown." Hearing this, Rias was actually kind of surprised, saying, "Alright, well, I'll have someone come fetch you after school, okay?" "Okay." As the Prince of Kuo appeared, and he said, "Hello, Issei." Issei, who does have a pretty good reputation in this version, he's still a little bit perverted, but he's nicknamed the Sea Serpent because of the fact that he's always somehow in the water. There is a swim club, which, while Issei doesn't particularly care to join, they let him swim whenever he wants to, which he likes to swim, so good for him. He doesn't join the swim club since he doesn't really care for it. He will swim, which mainly he just goes to the ocean to swim, but he's not against just going to the pool at some points. Now, this is when Issei would actually do something no one was expecting. He grabbed Kiba's hand, saying, "Yo, Kiba, hold up." Kiba pulling over to the side, saying, "What's up? I got a question. Do you believe in Atlantis?" "Yeah, I do. Atlanteans aren't that bad of people, though they don't really like devils very much. Though they don't really like me that much. Alright, whatever." As they got all the way there, explained that they're devils, and yada yada yada, Issei then laughs his head off, saying, "Alright, y'all are devils. Cool, cool, cool. And I'm one too now, I guess. Wait, but I'm the king of Atlantis." Them saying, "No way, man. Funny one, but we're actually devils." And then he says, "Yeah, and I'm actually the king of Atlantis." As he pulls out the trident, slamming it down to the ground, looking with power, which authority made even Rias say, "Yes, sir?" Basically not really saying it, but feeling like she was being told what to do. She was told, as he said, "Sit down." everyone literally sitting down as if it was an order directly from Rias, saying, alright, now, like I said, I'm the king of Atlantis. And I'm kind of, I don't know how to say this, I'm also the last Atlantean left. I was told this by Drake, showing the boosted gear. Drake saying, correct. And this is when he said, the people who killed the Atlanteans were actually, which surprised that Drake going to say it, as I could feel it, it was actually Sir Zex, Lucifer. Saying, say what? And you already knew who did this? Yes. Currently, if you even tried stepping to him, you would die. But the people he killed were threatening to attack you and kill you, so he kinda helped you out there. Okay. I won't hold any grudge. Though I'm kinda pissed off they destroyed the entirety of my kingdom. Hearing this, Rias is kinda like, that's my older brother, so I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. As Issei would start, doing his thing, went through all the same stuff with Asya and all that, they go to save her. In this version, he straight up just pierces through Rainair with his trident and then steps on her and pulls it out. As he swung it at full force, getting all the blood and everything off, saying, destroy her. As he had taken the healing things and gave them back to Asya so she would heal. Not really so she would heal, but more along the lines so she would be revived with her healing powers. Asya saying hello and thanking Issei for getting her revived, as they would go and move into his house. His father saying, good son. And because I'm finally fully healed, I'm moving back to my job at the lighthouse. Hearing this, Issei said, we're moving again? Okay. No, son. I'm moving. You're staying here. Okay. It's already a fully paid off house. I'm keeping it. But the lighthouse is my true home. Goodbye, son. I'll send you, say, $2,000. I'll send you $2,000 every few months. Every about 2 months, so make the money last. Issei said, yeah, thanks, Dad. Don't worry about it. As his father would take off with all of his gear and his vehicle, saying, goodbye, son. And this is when Rias would say, what about the second car that's there? That's mine. You can drive? Yes. That's kind of surprising. As he would just basically go back to what he was doing. As this is when Issei would still have to deal with the riser thing, and riser straight comes out of, like, the whole thing. He does the whole thing saying, sure. Setting her down, saying, let's go. Right when he's about to start thrusting in, he's stopped by Grafia, who says, I don't know who you think you are, but no mere man. As he said, I'm the king of Atlantis. I'm no mere man, I'm a king. He didn't say that, but he thought, this chick doesn't even know who the fuck she's messing with. As right when she goes to actually what seems to be attack Issei, he actually got his boosted gear and his, trident, as he swung it to block that attack, which she actually was surprised, saying, that has to be it. As she actually felt a little bit of a burn when it touched her, saying, how is the devil able to wield that? Simple. The king of Atlantis is able to wield his trident. You're the king of Atlantis? As she's kind of backing up, as Rias says, this is my brother's queen. She was probably there when all the Atlanteans were killed. Oh, well then I actually have to talk to you and to your master. We'll talk about this later. As Issei would then say, go. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. This is when Issei would just sit down, relax, and go to sleep. Next morning, he just grabbed, he grabbed his normal gear and went to school, and then said something unexpected. Asia, I have a question. Would you like to learn how to use a weapon? Sure, what do you mean? Well, I was thinking about teaching you how to use a trident. The weapon of royalty. Yes, I would like that. He said, good. I'll teach you with my mother. I'll let you use my mother's until we can get you a solid one. Thank you, Issei. Don't worry about it. As this is when Issei would just walk in there. Rias is still talking smack, saying, "Oh, Riser's back. Riser's big. Riser's bad. Yada yada yada." Issei then saying, "Riser's a waste of time." The surprising Riser saying, "Who do you think you're talking to, kid? I am the proud Phoenix." And he says, "So? That's not a big deal. You're just a fiery bird. My kind are literally known for drowning you." "Oh yeah, and what is your kind?" "Well, Atlanteans." "There's no way you're an Atlantean," as he pulled out the trident, saying, "Bet, motherfucker." "What the hell? A trident? It's the holiest artifact I've ever fucking seen. Keep that the fuck away from me." "No." As he actually goes to swing this, as it straight up cut off the hand of Riser. As Riser's arm hit the floor, he said, "Really?" As it evaporated into fire, and fire healed his arm, saying, "Slower than it's normal, but I will have to destroy you for that one, you know." "How? Why, I'm the Red Dragon Emperor and the Lone Wielder, to be known as the King of Atlantis." And this is when he said, "Simple. I'll hit you when you're not using either of them." "When is that?" "Rating game. Done." Setting that up, Rias basically said, "Issei, you basically just pissed off the only person who I can't even destroy." "Okay. Well then, let's train a little bit, because as it stands now, we're probably going to get ripped apart. Though, honestly, we do know that Akano could take out Yuma. Not unscathed, but take her out pretty good. Konako is actually stronger than the Rooks that are on that team. Kiba's stronger than the Knights that are on that team as well, so we do know that. So that's good information. And the bishops really didn't do anything, honestly, for either side. Though Asia did do better than them in a few ways. Like I said, Asia did do quite better than them in a good bit of ways, so yeah. At least able to heal her king. And then we've got the pawns. Issei probably could have taken on all 8 of their pawns pretty damn easily. Back to what if. Now, this is when Issei would say something that no one was expecting to hear from anyone for like 2,000 other years at least. As they see the rightful King of Atlantis spinning the trident, as he slammed it down, requesting it being by the ocean. This is when, they had asked like what they wanted to have it by and everything. When Issei said the ocean, surprises them a little bit, saying, "Okay." Now, it was basically Kuo Academy next to the water. Because in this version, Kuo is literally right next to the ocean. Like, it's literally a beach from like 20 feet off of Kuo. And that's right where it portals off, which Issei has an idea. He's using the water as an advantage. He's using it to block and attack, and even managed to use it to basically overwhelm some fire. In this version, as he said, promotion Queen, taking his trident, using the water he had accumulated and spun it at such speed, hitting Riser with it after cutting him, basically making it where he couldn't heal as it was eternally dampened by the water that was hitting him. As it was water on top of the holy object, it was technically holy water, so it was still burning Riser until he was able to evaporate it, which took a few minutes. This is when Riser would actually, beat the crap out of Issei, since, while he is so much stronger than Issei was in canon, and able to boost so many more times, the facts are in the pudding. He's not as combat experienced as Riser. I know we always have to act like Riser is like some weakling, but still, Riser knows how to fight, at least a little bit. Now, this would lead to a barely win on Riser's part, as I know he barely won in canon, but in this version he only wins because, Yubaluna used a bomb on his back. In this version, right when, Yubaluna got there, instead of, just blowing up Kiba and them, she had one charged up for Issei and hit him right in the back, which kind of messed up, and he actually tanked another one to his back when he protected Rias and Asya. This leads to him having a little bit of trouble and being a little bit injured. And then it was just Riser beating the crap out of him, which struggled a little bit since every hit he did kind of just bounced off of Issei. Even until the point where he had to use magic, which Issei really doesn't know how to block against. Which Issei just hit him with a dragon shot which followed him just right behind him, throwing the meanest jab of a trident into someone's chest. Though this wasn't enough to kill Riser, as Riser was able to basically burn off all of Issei's clothes. He tried hitting him with a fireball, which just burned up all of Issei's clothes. As Issei stood there ready to fight, he was then hit again with more explosions as he collapsed. Now, this would barely beat him, and it was only because he had to go through so many other pieces before this. Now, this is when Issei would still wake up, make the same deal, giving Drake one of his arms. And this is when Drake said, "You got it." This deal made it where Issei had all the power. Of any having the power. And this is when he actually budged in there, did the same thing, made the same claim, requested Rias. That all went as canon. Just for Issei to have to deal with the whole scale mail. And using holy water and a cross. Now, in this version, whenever he's wielding said holy water and cross, it's doing pretty well. Like, it is hurting Riser. But in this version, he douses it on the boosted gear, yelling transfer into all of that, holy water splashed rosary with the trident right there, stabbing clean through Riser. Riser should have been dead. He would have easily died if he wasn't a phoenix. The only reason he's not is because he struggled a little bit. Now, this did allow him to somewhat survive this, but only when Ravel jumped in the way saying, "Don't hurt him." Issei having the same conviction in his eyes, which made Ravel blush, just for Issei to start walking away, saying, "Get him out of here then." This being more than enough to deal with everything, as this made it where, for lack of a better term, Riser got knocked the fuck out. Then we have to deal with Kokabiel, and with the Kokabiel arc, that goes basically all canon, except for Kokabiel recognizes that trident, tries to attack him, gets stabbed by said trident, and a little bit later gets stabbed by the sword of Ascalon. Well, he doesn't really get stabbed by it, but this is kind of what results in him getting Ascalon, so yeah. As his mother's trident actually stabbed right into Kokabiel's right wings, and his left wings got stabbed by the trident of the true king, as Issei just straight up started spinning him and started hitting him pretty badly. He went to try breaking one just for it to be the stronger one, which snapped his hand. He tries breaking the other one, but it turns out to be that one's the stronger one, saying, "What the hell?" As he notes that he's actually just spinning them off and trading his hands every few seconds, so there was no way to tell which was which. Which is also what winds up leading into Issei barely beating Kokabiel, just for, the White Dragon Emperor to come and leave with Kokabiel. This making it where Issei would still have, I think he would get Ascalon around the same time. I don't know when he originally got Ascalon. Honestly, I think it was before, that meeting, but I don't know. It may have been after. Probably after. So, yeah. That would basically go as canon. He gets Ascalon and all that. He has to fight, with, against the White Dragon Emperor after saving Casper, and that goes as canon. Then he has to deal with the, rest of the stuff, that dude tried taking Asya, going into his Juggernaut Drive, which his Juggernaut Drive had a different exact, thing. In Juggernaut Drive, every dragon that could sense him got the urge to follow him and fight. It wasn't just sea creatures, it was any creature that was weaker than him. Not really weaker, physically, as we know that Aquaman was able to control the strongest, creature in the ocean. But anything with a weaker brainwave would be forced to obey. And being that the only ones he was calling upon were the dragons, that was all he wanted. As the dragons would actually appear. All of them. Even Tannen was forced to obey this. Great Red would go, but not because he was forced to obey. Ophis would appear as she wasn't really forced, but felt like it should be good. Seeing that this was the kid wielding the spear, saying, "Alright." As they just basically said goodbye. Seeing each other and threatening each other a little bit, but this is when Great Red basically said, "Fuck you." This being more than enough, so they basically escape. They leave, they're good. Issei then noting that was exhausting, and he feels exhausted by far. Being told, yeah, he did just basically fight one of the strongest creatures ever. Hearing that he really tried riding the ones with one of the strongest creatures ever, he was surprised. He did have to fight the White Dragon Emperor in Juggernaut Drive, which was a pretty bad fight. As Issei would proceed to just straight up go through the next few things, nothing really changes for then on until he has to fight against, Cyberorg. In this version, Cyberorg goes through a punch just for Issei to block it with a twist motion that actually sent Cyberorg a little bit spinning. He went into fighting and he said, "Screw it," throwing his weapon backwards. As he threw his weapon into the gauntlet, he started just going ham, fist to fist to fist. As this would still end in Issei's victory, Issei would actually say, "Good job, you did well," patting Cyborg on the back as Cyborg collapsed into the ground. And the gear said, "Thank you for not killing him." Issei then just walks away, as he collapses too, right into Rias' bosom. This made him fall asleep.